Commander Nate Daniels stood frozen on the bridge of the Earth defense ship Valiant. His eyes were fixed on the view screen showing the remains of Outpost Gamma, where a bustling research station once orbited the moon of Europa. Only twisted metal and floating debris remained. "How many?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lieutenant Olivia Carter checked her console, her face pale. 327, sir. Scientists, support staff, families. She paused. There were 62 children on board. Nate's fists clenched at his sides. This wasn't a random accident or a natural disaster. The attack pattern was clear, precision strikes aimed to maximize casualties. "Play the final transmission again," he ordered. The main screen flickered to show Dr. Patricia Wells, the station director. Her face was streaked with blood, and alarms blared in the background. "This is Outpost Gamma declaring an emergency. We are under attack by Concordiate vessels. They gave no warning. Our shields are failing. We have civilians and children aboard. Please." The transmission cut to static. "That's the third human settlement hit in 3 months," said Communications Officer Ryan Miller. "First, the mining colony on Titan, then the agricultural dome on Mars, and now this." Nate turned to face his bridge crew. Each face showed the same mixture of shock and anger. The Concordiate, a coalition of 7 alien species from the Orion Arm, had been observed at the edges of human space for years. Initial attempts at contact had been met with silence. "They think we're weak," Olivia said, breaking the heavy silence. "They think we're easy prey." Science Officer Ben Flores nodded in agreement. "Intelligence suggests the Concordiate views humanity as a primitive species that expanded into space too quickly. Their evolutionary history is different from ours. Most of their member species evolved as apex predators without natural enemies. So they have no concept of what it means to fight for survival," Nate said. He walked to the tactical station where William Rodriguez was analyzing the attack pattern. "What do we know about their weapons?" Nate asked. "They use some kind of plasma-based technology, sir. Highly advanced." "But," William hesitated. "But what, Lieutenant?" "The attack was precise but inefficient. They used far more energy than needed to destroy the station. It's almost like they were showing off." Nate's expression hardened. "Or sending a message." He returned to his command chair and pressed a button on the armrest. "Bridge to engineering." "Chief Engineer Kelly Martinez here, sir." "Kelly, how soon can we deploy the quantum displacement prototype?" There was a pause. "The TD cannon isn't scheduled for combat testing for another 3 months, Commander. I need it operational within 48 hours. Another pause. I'll make it happen, sir." Nate turned to Ryan at Communications. "Send an encrypted message to Earth Command. Confirm Concordiate responsibility for the attack on Outpost Gamma. Recommend immediate implementation of Protocol Thunderbolt." The bridge fell silent. Protocol Thunderbolt wasn't just a military response. It was the full mobilization of humanity's hidden defense capabilities, technologies kept secret even from Earth's citizens. "Sir," Ryan said carefully, "Protocol Thunderbolt has never been activated outside of simulations. It would mean—" "I know exactly what it means," Nate cut him off. "It means showing the galaxy what happens when you corner an animal that evolved from prey into the most dangerous predator on its planet." He stood and looked at each of his officers in turn. "The Concordiate thinks humans are soft because we value peace. They mistake our restraint for weakness. They believe our technology is primitive because we haven't shown our true capabilities." His voice became quiet but intense. "They're about to learn who they're really dealing with. Humanity is done with warnings." Admiral Grace Bennett stood at the window of the war room beneath Geneva, looking out at Lake Geneva. Only it wasn't really a window. The war room was 500 meters underground. The view was a projection, a small comfort for those who spent days at a time in this concrete bunker making decisions that affected all of humanity. Behind her, 24 members of Earth's Unified Defense Council argued around the circular table. The room had grown louder in the 3 hours since Commander Daniel's report arrived from the Valiant. "We cannot rush into war with an alien coalition we barely understand," shouted Minister Carlos Jimenez, his fist pounding the table. "They've already brought war to us," replied General Susan Ford. 3 unprovoked attacks, nearly 1,000 civilian deaths. Grace turned from the false window. At 62, she was the oldest person in the room and had served in Earth's military for over 40 years. She had seen humanity united after the climate wars, watched as they took their first careful steps to the stars. "Dr. Wright," Grace said, silencing the room with her calm voice, "you've studied the Concordiat longer than anyone. What's your assessment?" Dr. Alan Wright, the leading xenopsychology expert, adjusted his glasses. The Concordiat species evolved very differently from humans. Most were apex predators on their homeworlds. They never knew the fear of being hunted. They never developed our fight or flight responses. He tapped his tablet, projecting images of the 7 Concordiat species. Their cultures value dominance and territory. They don't understand compromise because they never needed it to survive. Our attempts at peaceful communication are being interpreted as submission signals. Vincent Morris, the council president, leaned forward. "Are you saying they're attacking us because we tried to be peaceful?" "Essentially, yes," Alan replied. "To them, a species that doesn't immediately show strength isn't worthy of respect. They believe they're establishing the natural order." Grace walked slowly around the table. "We've tried peaceful contact for 5 years. We've sent 17 diplomatic missions, all ignored or destroyed." She stopped behind her chair, but didn't sit. "I've reviewed Commander Daniel's recommendation for Protocol Thunderbolt. I support it." The room erupted again. Protocol Thunderbolt wasn't just a military operation. It was the revelation of humanity's secret defense technologies, developed over decades but hidden from public knowledge, to prevent escalating an arms race among the stars. "The public doesn't even know about half these weapons," shouted economic advisor Heather Ross. "How do we explain suddenly having technology decades ahead of what we've claimed?" "We explain that humanity has always been cautious," Grace answered. "That we hoped for peace but prepared for war. That's our nature. Hope for the best, plan for the worst." Defense Minister Jack Wilson sighed heavily. "If we activate Thunderbolt, there's no going back. The Concordiat will see our true capabilities." "Good," said Grace. "It's time they learned who they're dealing with. Humanity didn't claw its way up the food chain by being soft. We survived ice ages, plagues, and our own self-destructive tendencies. We've spent centuries fighting each other. Now we're united against a common threat." Council President Morris looked around the table. "We need to vote. Protocol Thunderbolt requires unanimous approval." One by one, the council members pressed their thumbs to the biometric readers in front of them. 24 lights turned green. "Protocol Thunderbolt is authorized," Morris announced, his voice heavy with the weight of the decision. "May God have mercy on them, because humanity will not." Grace nodded and touched her communication implant. "This is Admiral Bennett. Protocol Thunderbolt is a go. Deploy the fleet." Captain Samuel Reeves watched as crew members loaded experimental weapons onto his ship, the EDF Vengeance. The hangar was busy with activity as engineers and technicians prepared the fleet for what might be humanity's most important military operation. Sam had never seen some of these weapons before. No civilian had. For decades, Earth's governments had publicly promoted peaceful space exploration, while secretly developing military technology. Now those secrets were being brought into the open. "The quantum displacement cannons are secure in Bay 3, Captain," reported Chief Engineer Kelly Martinez. She had dark circles under her eyes from working 36 hours straight. "How do they work?" Sam asked, walking beside Kelly as they moved through the ship's main corridor. Kelly smiled slightly. "Simply put, they move matter from one point in space to another. When targeted at a ship, they can remove key components, like a power core or bridge section, and relocate them to empty space. Sam whistled. That's not combat. That's surgery. That's the point, Kelly said. We're not like the Concordia. We don't want to just destroy. These weapons give enemies a chance to surrender before they die. They entered the bridge, where Lieutenant Paul Howard was running system checks on the tactical console. How are the adaptive shields coming along? Sam asked. Online and functioning at 93% efficiency, Paul replied. The system learns from each hit it takes. The more they shoot at us, the stronger our defenses become against their weapons. Sam nodded and looked around his bridge. The Vengeance was one of 50 warships being prepared for the operation. Together, they represented humanity's true military capability, far beyond what any alien species suspected they possessed. The Concordiat thinks they know humans, Sam said quietly. They've studied our broadcasts, our public technologies, our peaceful missions, but they never saw what we were developing in secret. Lieutenant Olivia Grant, his second-in-command, joined him at the view screen. Why did we hide all this? We could have shown our strength from the beginning. Sam turned to her. Because that's not who we want to be. Humanity tried to approach the stars as peaceful explorers first. We hoped other species would see our restraint as wisdom, not weakness. That was naive, Olivia said. Maybe, Sam agreed. But it was the right thing to try. Now we show them our other side. An alert sounded, and Communications Officer Doug Miller announced, Captain, incoming message from Fleet Admiral Bennett. The main screen changed to show Admiral Grace Bennett's face. She looked tired but determined. Captains and crews of the Earth Defense Fleet, she began. Protocol Thunderbolt is now active. In 6 hours, our fleet will jump to the edge of the Concordiat home system. This is not a mission of vengeance or extermination. This is a demonstration of capability and a demand for respect. Sam listened as she continued. The Concordiat believes humans are technologically inferior and naturally submissive. They attack our outposts because they think we cannot fight back effectively. Today, they learn differently. The bridge crew stood straighter as she spoke. Humanity developed in a world of predators and prey. For millennia, we were both hunter and hunted. We learned to use tools not just to build, but to survive. Every technology we've created was born from our need to overcome challenges. While the Concordiat species evolved as apex predators without natural enemies, we fought our way to the top of our food chain. Admiral Bennett's expression hardened. They think this makes them superior. Today, they learn it makes us more dangerous than they could possibly imagine. The transmission ended, and Sam turned to his crew. Final preparations. We'd jump in 6 hours. Major Diana Powell checked her phase-shifting armor one last time. The Special Operations team gathered in the launch bay of the stealth ship Phantom, preparing for what might be the most dangerous mission of their lives. 12 soldiers, the best Earth had to offer, would infiltrate the Concordiat command structure while the main fleet engaged their defenses. Everyone clear on the objectives? Diana asked, looking at each team member in turn. Commander Eric Dawson, her second-in-command, nodded. Infiltrate their central command, bypass security systems, plant the quantum data bombs, and extract without detection. And if we're detected? Diana asked. We fight our way out, replied Lieutenant Zoe Mitchell, checking her pulse rifle. But we make sure they remember us. Diana walked slowly in front of her team. These weren't just soldiers. They were Earth's shadow warriors, trained in both Earth combat techniques and the fighting styles of known alien species. They could adapt to any gravity, atmosphere, or tactical situation. The Concordiat has never faced humans in direct combat, Diana said. They've attacked our outposts and research stations from a distance. They've never had to look us in the eyes as we fight back. She activated a holographic display showing the layout of the Concordiat Command Center. The aliens had 7 council members, one from each species in their coalition. Their security was layered but designed to stop frontal assaults, not infiltration. Humanity's greatest advantage isn't just our technology, Diana continued. It's our adaptability, our tenacity, our capacity to endure suffering and still fight back. Eric nodded in agreement. The Concordiate species evolved without predators. They've never developed the survival instincts we take for granted. They don't understand fear the way we do, added Sergeant Chris Baker. They use it as a weapon but have never experienced it as a survival tool. Diana deactivated the hologram. Our mission isn't simple destruction. We're delivering a message they won't forget. She explained that the quantum data bombs wouldn't destroy the Concordia facility. Instead, they would inject Earth's complete military history into their information systems. Every war, every battle, every innovation born from conflict. The bombs would also carry footage of humanity's resilience through disasters, plagues, and climate collapse. We want them to understand who they've provoked, Diana said. Not just our weapons, but our will. The team boarded their drop pods. These small craft used experimental gravity manipulation to become virtually undetectable. They would launch while the main fleet engaged the Concordiate defenses, using the battle as cover to approach the planet's surface. On the command deck of the Phantom, Captain Liam Rivera monitored the fleet's position. They were minutes away from emerging from hyperspace. Major Powell, he called over the communication system. Admiral Harrison wants to speak with you before launch. The view screen activated to show Admiral Frank Harrison aboard the flagship Aurora. Major, he said, his expression serious. I want to emphasize that this mission is about sending a message, not starting a war of extermination. We need the Concordia to respect humanity, not fear us so much they unite the galaxy against us. Diana nodded. Understood, Admiral. We'll make sure they understand exactly who humans are, both what we're capable of and what we choose not to do. Good hunting, Major, Frank said. The fleet will create one hell of a distraction for you. As the transmission ended, Diana returned to her team. The drop pods were sealed and ready. Remember, she told them through the communication system, we fight not because we love war, but because we love peace enough to defend it. That's what makes us human. The countdown began. In 30 seconds, the Earth fleet would emerge from hyperspace, and Operation Thunderbolt would begin. Diana closed her eyes briefly, centering herself for what was to come. Humanity has been pushed too far, she whispered. It's time to push back. The Earth fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Concordiate home system. 50 warships appeared simultaneously, their formation perfect despite the complex jump. On the bridge of the flagship Aurora, Tactical Officer William Rodriguez watched as alarm signals lit up across his console. Detecting massive energy spikes across their defense grid, William reported. They're scrambling their fleet. Very disorganized. I think we caught them completely by surprise. Admiral Frank Harrison stood calmly at the command center. He had waited for this moment since the first human outpost was destroyed. Not for revenge, but to establish humanity's place in the galaxy. Status of the Phantom? Frank asked. Communications Officer Hither Young checked her readings. Clean launch, Admiral. Major Powell's team is away and undetected. Frank nodded, then addressed the fleet. All ships, commence Phase 1. Target military installations only. I repeat, military targets only. The Earth fleet moved forward in perfect coordination. The Concordiate defenders rushed to meet them, their ships larger and more numerous, but their formation was chaotic. They had never expected an attack on their home system. They're firing, announced William as energy beams streaked toward the human vessels. Adaptive shield holding, reported First Officer Cynthia Gray. Learning mode active. The first volley hit the Earth ships. Some took damage, but none fell out of formation. The Concordiate fired again, but this time the adaptive shields absorbed more of the energy. Return fire, ordered Frank. Quantum displacement cannons, targeted strikes only. From the Earth ships, beams of blue-white energy reached out. They didn't explode against the alien vessels as conventional weapons would. Instead, key components of the Concordiate ships simply vanished. Weapons systems, engine cores, command centers, reappearing in empty space kilometers away. On the view screen, Frank watched as alien ships became dead in space, their crews alive but helpless. "They're changing tactics," William warned, bringing in their heavy dreadnoughts. 3 massive Concordiate ships, each 10 times the size of the Aurora, moved into position, their weapons charged, glowing with energy that could vaporize planets. "Now they show their true strength," Frank said. "Lieutenant Rodriguez, are they targeting civilian areas?" William studied his console. "No, sir. Military targets only, like us." Frank nodded with approval. "At least they have some honor. All ships, execute Maneuver Delta." The Earth fleet suddenly split into 3 groups, moving in patterns that seemed impossible for spacecraft of their size. The Concordiate dreadnoughts fired, but hit only empty space where human ships had been seconds before. "Anti-gravity thrusters functioning perfectly," reported Cynthia. "Their targeting systems can't keep up with our maneuverability." Frank watched as the battle unfolded. Earth ships took damage but fought on even when severely wounded, behavior the Concordiate had never witnessed in any species they'd encountered. One particular Earth vessel, the Defiance, drew his attention. Its hull was breached in multiple places, but it continued fighting, positioning itself to shield a damaged ally. "The Defiance is critically damaged," Cynthia reported. "Captain Miller requests permission to continue engagement." "Granted," Frank said, "but tell him to pull back if they take any more serious hits." The battle continued for 43 minutes. When it ended, the Concordiate's orbital defenses were neutralized. 37 alien ships floated powerless but intact. Earth had lost 3 vessels, with several others damaged but operational. From his command chair, Frank Harrison took a deep breath. Phase 1 was complete. Now came the more important part. "We have control of their orbital space," William confirmed. Frank nodded. "Send the signal to Major Powell's team. And prepare the broadcast. It's time the Concordiate hears humanity's message." Amy Nelson took a deep breath as she prepared to address the Concordiate. As the fleet's diplomatic officer, she had trained for years in alien communication, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. The transmission was about to go out across all Concordiate frequencies, translated into each of their 27 languages. "Ready when you are, Lieutenant," Admiral Harrison said quietly. Amy nodded and faced the camera. The red light blinked on, and she began. "People of the Concordiate, I speak on behalf of humanity. You attacked us without provocation. You destroyed our outposts. You killed our civilians, including children. You believed we would submit or retreat." Her voice remained calm but firm as she continued. "You were wrong." The broadcast shifted to footage captured by Major Powell's team. The quantum data bombs had done their work perfectly, extracting information from the Concordiate's own systems while simultaneously uploading Earth's history. "We are humanity. We evolved on a world where we were prey before we became predators. Every technology we've created was born from our need to survive, first against nature, then against ourselves." The screen showed images from human history, wars, natural disasters, and plagues, but also the resilience that followed each catastrophe. Cities rebuilt from rubble, nations emerging from conflict, humanity adapting and growing stronger. For thousands of years, we fought each other. We divided ourselves by borders, beliefs, and differences. We nearly destroyed ourselves more than once. The footage shifted to show Earth's unification after the climate wars, the first lunar colony, and the expansion to Mars and beyond. Then we looked to the stars. We hoped to find friends, partners, fellow travelers on the cosmic journey. Instead, we found you, a coalition that values dominance over cooperation. And he paused, letting the message sink in. "Today, you witnessed only a fraction of our capability." The broadcast showed images of Earth's hidden fleet, hundreds more ships still in orbit around Earth and its colonies. It displayed weapons systems the Concordiat had never imagined, defensive technologies that could protect entire star systems. We could destroy your civilization today. We have the power to reduce your worlds to ash, as you tried to do to our outposts. But that is not our way. Amy's expression softened slightly. Instead, we offer one chance for peace, immediate and unconditional withdrawal from all human territories, formal acknowledgement of Earth's sovereignty, and a non-aggression pact that protects both our peoples. The camera moved closer to her face. You attacked us because you thought we were weak. You mistook our restraint for weakness, our patience for fear. You believed that because we sought peace, we could not wage war. The screen split to show the aftermath of the battle, disabled Concordiat vessels being assisted by Earth medical ships, wounded alien crew members receiving treatment from human doctors. Look at your defeated ships. Notice that we disabled rather than destroyed them. Observe how we treat your wounded. This is strength. Not the ability to destroy, but the choice not to when given the power. Amy's voice became quiet but intense. We are not like you. We do not seek conflict, but we finish what others start. She straightened her shoulders. You have 24 Earth hours to respond. If you choose peace, we will welcome you as equals in the galaxy. If you choose to continue this conflict, she paused. Then you will learn why, throughout our bloody history, the most dangerous human was always the peaceful one finally pushed too far. The transmission ended, and Amy let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Admiral Harrison placed a hand on her shoulder. Well said, Lieutenant. On the tactical display, they could see the Concordiat leadership already gathering in emergency session. In the heart of their capital, Major Powell's team sent confirmation that the message had reached every corner of their civilization. Now humanity waited for an answer, ready for either peace or war. The observation deck of the diplomatic vessel Harmony offered a panoramic view of space. Standing side by side, newly promoted Admiral Nate Daniels and Ambassador Lisa Kennedy watched the Concordiat delegation board their shuttle. It had been 3 weeks since Operation Thunderbolt. 3 weeks since humanity had demonstrated its hidden strength. 3 weeks that had changed the course of interstellar relations forever. The Treaty of Proxima Centauri, Lisa said, holding the document in her hands. I never thought I'd see it happen, especially not this quickly. Nate nodded. The Concordiat leaders had responded to humanity's demonstration of power within hours, not days. Their request for peace talks had been immediate and without conditions. They're an intelligent species, Nate replied. Once they understood what they were dealing with, they made the logical choice. The treaty established clear boundaries between human and Concordiat space. It included reparations for the destroyed outposts and formal recognition of Earth's sovereignty. Most importantly, it created a framework for future cooperation between species that had fundamentally different evolutionary histories. Do you think they understand us now? Lisa asked, watching the Concordiat representatives enter their vessel. Nate considered the question carefully. I think they understand that we're unlike any species they've encountered before. Not because we're inherently violent, but because we've learned to channel our protective instincts. He gestured to the stars beyond the view screen. They evolved as apex predators, never knowing fear. We evolved as prey that became predators, and that makes us dangerous in ways they couldn't comprehend. The Concordiat shuttle detached from the Harmony and moved away, its engines glowing softly against the blackness of space. The data bombs were the key, Lisa said, showing them our history, all of it, not just our wars, but our art, our literature, our capacity for both destruction and creation. They needed to see the full picture of humanity. Nate smiled slightly. Major Powell told me their leaders were particularly affected by the footage of Earth after the climate wars, how we came together to rebuild rather than falling into endless conflict. Lisa nodded. The galaxy needed this reminder. Humanity doesn't seek conflict, but we finish what others start. A predator that chooses peace is still a predator, Nate replied. and the galaxy would do well to remember that humanity's patience has limits. Behind them, the door to the observation deck opened. Admiral Grace Bennett entered, looking tired but satisfied. The Concordiate High Council has just broadcast the treaty terms to all their worlds, she announced. They're making it clear that Earth is to be respected as an equal power in the galaxy. And the other species? Lisa asked. The ones watching from the sidelines. Grace smiled. Our intelligence suggests they're reassessing their views of humanity rather quickly. Several have already sent requests for diplomatic relations. The three of them stood in silence for a moment, watching as the Earth Defense Fleet prepared to return home. The ships that had revealed humanity's true capabilities would soon resume their hidden positions, protecting human interests throughout the stars. We showed them who we really are, Nate said finally. Not just our weapons, but our hearts, our willingness to fight, and our desire for peace. That's the message that will spread across the galaxy now, Lisa agreed. That the species from the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star is neither to be feared nor underestimated. Grace nodded. We came to the stars hoping for friendship but prepared for war. That's human nature, hope for the best, plan for the worst. As the Earth fleet formed up for the jump home, news spread throughout the stars. Humanity had drawn their line in the cosmic sand. They came in peace, but they came armed. And the galaxy would never underestimate them again. 5 years after the Treaty of Proxima Centauri, Earth had changed. The revelation of humanity's secret military capabilities had shocked citizens almost as much as it had surprised the Concordiate. People had questions, demanded answers, and gradually came to understand why their leaders had kept such technologies hidden. Captain Samuel Reeves stood on the observation platform at New Geneva Spaceport, watching as the first Concordiate diplomatic mission prepared to land. The massive alien vessel moved with grace despite its size, settling onto the landing pad with barely a sound. "Never thought I'd see this day," said Kelly Martinez, now his wife, as well as his chief engineer. They had married 3 years ago, after returning from the Thunderbolt mission. "Me neither," Sam admitted. "From enemies to trading partners in 5 years." The Concordiate ship's main hatch opened, revealing 7 representatives, one from each species in their coalition. They moved differently than humans, some with flowing grace, others with careful precision, but all with a certain wariness. Earth's diplomatic corps, led by Ambassador Lisa Kennedy, moved forward to greet them. The crowd of humans gathered at the spaceport watched silently, curious but cautious. "The blue one is staring at you," Kelly whispered. Sam nodded. "That's First Envoy Rakan. He commanded one of their dreadnoughts during the battle. We disabled his ship." The tall, blue-skinned alien broke away from the greeting party and approached Sam directly. The security personnel tensed, but Ambassador Kennedy waved them back. Rakan stopped 2 meters from Sam and performed a gesture, right hand to chest, then extended forward with palm up. "Captain Reeves," the alien said in surprisingly good English. "You commanded the vessel that disabled the dominant will." Sam nodded. "I did. You could have destroyed us. Your weapons had the capability. Instead, you removed our engine core and weapons systems with surgical precision. That was our mission," Sam replied. "To demonstrate capability, not to destroy." Rakan made a clicking sound that Sam's translator didn't catch. Then the alien extended both hands, palms up. A gesture of respect in Concordiate culture. "My people have a saying. Know the warrior by how they treat the defeated. We have much to learn from humans." Across the spaceport, similar conversations were happening. Former enemies meeting face to face, not as conquerors and conquered, but as species trying to understand each other. Diana Powell, now General Powell, watched from a distance. Her special operations team had infiltrated the Concordiate's most secure facility and lived to tell about it. Now she was helping train a new generation of soldiers, not for war, but for peacekeeping throughout human space. "They still don't fully understand us," she said to Eric Dawson, who stood beside her. Eric nodded. They never will. Not completely. Just as we'll never fully understand them. Our evolutionary paths were too different. But they respect us now, Diana replied. That's enough. On the main stage, President Olivia Grant, formerly Lieutenant Grant from The Vengeance, prepared to address the gathered crowd. At 38, she was the youngest president in Earth's unified history, elected largely on her experience during the Concordiate conflict. People of Earth, people of the Concordiate, she began. Today marks not just a diplomatic milestone, but a new chapter in galactic history. 5 years ago, our species stood on the brink of war. Today, we stand together as partners in exploration and trade. She gestured to the stars visible through the spaceport's transparent dome. The universe is vast and largely unknown. It contains wonders and dangers beyond our imagination. We will face them better together than apart. As President Grant continued her speech, Admiral Nate Daniels stood at the very back of the crowd. He had been the first to witness the Concordiate's aggression, the first to recommend Protocol Thunderbolt. Now he watched as the fruits of that difficult decision unfolded. Was it worth it? Asked Grace Bennett, now retired but still his mentor. Nate looked at the aliens and humans mingling together, former enemies finding common ground. Yes, he said simply. Sometimes you have to show your teeth to avoid using them.